Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I started this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays where I go live on YouTube around 4 p.m. Central Time, or outside of the YouTube, you can consider joining the Discord I created. There is a link for that down in the description below. Also down in the description below is a link to a Pinterest board. Many times people ask me what kind of food I'm eating on my diet. That Pinterest board is a great place to see some of the recipes that we've been enjoying. Today is day 802 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. I've used a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet to lose 236 pounds so far. If anybody has any non-scale victories, I'd love to hear them. If anybody has any on-scale victories, it is weigh-in Wednesday. I'm going to go over the weigh-in here in a minute, but if you have any on-scale victories, I'd love to hear those as well. If you're struggling with your diet, what is causing your struggles? If you're succeeding with your diet, what's causing your success? Let us all know. And at the end of the day, what are some things that you are doing that will make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Let's switch to the main here. Hello, Rick and Cindy and Christy and Tennis and Yoga Girl, Our Tiny Acres. Hello, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful day. I was extremely busy today, running all over the place, and now my phone doesn't want to cooperate with me. But yeah, I was really busy and active at work today, which was nice. Got some things done. The weather here has been really nice too. For this time of year, it can be pretty bad. So I'm going to go ahead and try to switch over to the food photos I have. The problem is I was going through a bunch of photos today, and I downloaded a bunch of new ones. So let me see if I can find last night's dinner. I can, and I don't know if we've had this dinner before. It was like a corn chowder, but let me go ahead and pull this up on the screen. This was dinner last night. Like I said, I can't remember the exact name of it. It was some sort of a corn chowder, lots of wonderful veggies in there. Obviously, you can see the corn, and I'm sure there was red peppers and other things in there. It was a really great dinner that we had last night. I ended up having 2 bowls of it. It was very sweet, just with everything that was in it. It was really sweet. And then for breakfast this morning, I had the standard oatmeal that we usually have with the spinach and mushrooms and onions in it. And then I didn't eat much for lunch today. We didn't have many golden potatoes. I did end up having a golden potato, and so I ended up taking a photo of the golden potato, and then Carrie had cooked up a bunch of russet potatoes, and I don't know, I just didn't feel like eating at the time, or I was busy. I was out of the office a lot, so I didn't sit down and actually eat the potatoes. I did end up having one. I didn't take a photo of it, but I did end up having another potato here at the end of the day. Just wasn't feeling super hungry, and like I said, I was real active. I'm sure that I will make up for for the lack of eating during the day today when I get home tonight and get back in the house. So that was food for the past 24 hours. Pretty standard for us. Like I said, that dinner that we had last night was really good. I'm not sure if it was a new recipe. Cindy says I can live vicariously through her today for lunch. She had steamed potatoes and broccoli. Yes, Carrie had steamed potatoes and broccoli as well. I had come through the break room at one point when she was eating on one of my trips in and out of the building today. And Rick says that he also had steamed potatoes and broccoli today for lunch. I just ate the one potato here right before the stream, and I was kind of sad that I didn't eat the rest of them ahead of time, but it's where we are. So I weighed in today because today is weigh in Wednesday. Cindy says we are a predictable bunch. Yes. I weighed in today. Rick says yellow potatoes rule, can't handle the russets. Janet here says happy weigh-in day. Yes, I weighed in today. I hope you guys had a chance to watch the weigh-in video from earlier, but I weighed in and I was exactly the same as I was the last time I weighed in. I was 283.8 pounds, which is really, I'm happy to be at that weight because I had the surgery at the end of the year last year. And so this is the first time I've weighed in 2 weeks. And right after the surgery, my weight went up a couple pounds. I don't think it ever got over 286 or 287, maybe at the highest after the surgery. But in the past week, I've noticed that the weight has dropped off a lot today. And so I was happy to get on the scale and for it to be at 283.8 pounds. Our Tiny Acres today says that they were at 269.8. Slowly it's moving. I'm happy to hear that you're getting it to move in the right direction and you're doing well. And it's about it's a longevity thing, or it's about the whole picture. It's not, necessarily about this week or this past couple weeks, but it's the past few months, how you've been doing. But it's great to see that you're seeing success too. And it's for me to be the same weight, it's good. I need to be doing better. I don't expect more from myself than where I'm at right now. But I do want to be down under 280 by the end of the month and as close to 275 as I can by the end of the month. I feel like that will continue to put me in a good position with how the progress has been going so far. And I'm thinking that I'll see some progress here in the next week or two. And I'll be under that 283. So a couple things, that I didn't realize when I weighed in this morning, but this was my first weigh-in of 2023. So my starting weight for 2023 is 283.8. I suppose I would have considered it that since the last time I weighed in 2022 was 283.8. But it's cool, or it's exciting to be at this lowest weight ever. It's something that is this new horizon that I'm coming across, or I'm dealing with on this diet, is being at that, the lightest I've ever been. And not just the lightest I've ever been, but the healthiest I've ever been, probably in my life. But at least as an adult, I am not only the lightest, but also the healthiest, because there's scenarios where in the past I had been the lightest, but I don't think I was really that healthy at the time. And so for me, it's really cool, and I can feel it in my body, in my bones, like the collarbones, the collarbone, just being able to feel the bones, the hip bones, the clothing, the way it kind of compresses better. It's really an awesome place to be. And I'm excited with where the next 60 pounds is going to take me. Some other things I wanted to talk about today. I was going through some old photos, and I found an old photo of myself from, gosh, it must have been 2019. And it was from my son, had his first communion, I think is what it was from. But I saw the photo, and I cropped it and I put it up here just because, and I don't know how well this comes across on a device or what, but I look at this photo and I just cannot believe how big I was. Let me see if I can get the photo to size up better here. But yeah, this is an old photo from before I started my diet, and I was going through looking at a bunch of photos to actually make today's thumbnail, and I found this photo, and it's just so shocking to me to see these photos of myself from when I was from before I started this diet, when I was kind of at my heaviest, or I was working my way up to my heaviest weight. And I even like remember this shirt and not liking to wear this shirt very much because this shirt made me look this way. And it's not really the shirt that's making me look this way. It's the person that's underneath the shirt that looks that way. And that's just the way, the way it looks. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to share that photo because it was shocking to me, or not shocking, but I saw it, and I was so happy to see how far away from that I am. Hey, Carrie's checking in saying hello. I hope everything's going great at home. I was talking about dinner last night. I couldn't remember, is that recipe on the Pinterest board or what the name of the dinner was? And then this here, I'm just going over a photo. And Cindy here actually says that she always thought of herself looking thinner than you were until you saw yourself in a full length mirror picture. And I think that that's the way I always was too, is that I always kind of had this body dysmorphia in an opposite direction, that I was holding on to my physicality or my appearance from when I was in high school or when I was in college, when in reality I wasn't like that anymore. I was far from it. And Carrie says that dinner last night is on the Pinterest board. It's called the sweet potato corn chowder. As Colleen here says that great to see us all. Chili is cooking and it smells amazing. Getting back on track after months of frivolity. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're getting back on track. And yeah, it just takes consistency and being prepared, having something, having that food in the future that is appropriate for your diet. Never get yourself in a position where you don't have a good choice to eat and you're hungry at the same time. But I'm glad you got some chili cooking, and I'll be right over to have a bowl. Let's see here. So yeah, that was just surprising to see the photo, and just looking at some of the other photos that I'll try to pull it up on my phone here since I'm talking about it. That I kind of took the background out of them, but let me see. This one here is actually not, I don't feel like I look as fat in the photo, but I definitely am at a heavier weight. This is one of the photos that I had. Here's another one that you can see that my face seems to be very not inflated, swollen, or bloated. I'm trying to think of the right word. Just some more photos that I was working with here from my phone that I'm just amazed at the difference that I can see between the old photos and the new photos of myself. And it's, it's probably good to go back and look at these photos and kind of look at the comparison and really see how far I've been able to come on this diet. And most of the photos that are on my phone are going to be like selfie photos or close-up photos. And, you know, when you're overweight, you don't like having a lot of photos taken of yourself. In fact, that photo here is a photo that was taken by somebody else and sent to me. I probably never even really looked at it because I was embarrassed of how I looked in the photo. Colleen here says that your photos are definitely showing your weight now. It's all good. It'll change soon. Oh, that you can see the difference that you gained weight and you're gonna make it change. Yes, that's awesome. And Carrie says, welcome back, Colleen. So the title of today's video, A Dieter's Tale. And I don't know why I got thinking about it in my head this morning, and I kind of wrote down some of the notes on it here, but I got thinking about you know, I guess it was maybe stemmed a little bit from yesterday's talk where I was talking about how you change your food and you can change your future. And something this morning sparked for whatever reason, I think it also has to do with that it's on one of the streaming services. There's a movie that's called A Knight's Tale. It's a Heath Ledger movie that came back out in like 2001 or 2004, something 20 years ago or something. It's a movie called A Knight's Tale. And I got thinking about that movie and kind of correlating it to my diet or dieting or some aspects of that movie, not the whole movie in itself. And one of the main overriding point of the movie is that a man can change his stars. And what they're talking about with stars is they're referring to their destiny. So what they're saying is that a person can change their life around. And in my case with dieting, a person can go from an obese person to a healthy person. You know, I felt like I was destined to be an obese person the rest of my life. And I'm trying to change my stars. I'm trying to change my destiny. And in the movie, the main character has aspirations to go from being a peasant to being a knight. But the world around him keeps saying that it's not possible. You can't change your stars. And I feel like a lot of people feel that way about being overweight. You know, they think I've been overweight my whole life. I'm destined to be fat. My whole family is fat. It's in my genes. And that there's nothing you can do. And sometimes we feel like the world is against us and it's easier to just give up than to try to struggle to succeed. But in the movie, the main character, he holds on to this idea that if you believe enough, you can do anything. And you need to have that mindset when you're going into the diet. You need to say, I believe I can succeed, so I will continue to push forward until I do. You have to continue to have the belief that you're going to succeed. And if you haven't seen the movie, it's set in medieval times, and the main character, his name's William. And in the movie, like I said, he's a peasant. And he works for this knight who competes in these skill competitions for prize money. And they travel from festival to festival. And in the movie, the knight that he's working for passes away or he dies. And the main character, William, is put into a position where he has to decide between continuing his life of misery or take a risk and maybe change his stars. And I feel like we do this every time we start a diet or we go on a diet. We make that decision between continuing this life of pain or to take a shot at something better. And so he takes the knight's armors and his equipment and he goes and he competes in this skills competition. And he does okay. I think he might win a little bit of prize money, but he's never done it before and he's wearing armor that doesn't really fit him. And like I said, when you start a diet, I feel like maybe that it's the same way, you know. That's how I feel like when I start a diet. I feel like I'm acting like somebody who is healthier. I'm eating a diet that feels uncomfortable, like having armor that doesn't fit. And you're impersonating a healthy person. Uh, when I started this diet, I was a peasant walking around in an ill-fitting knight's armor, or I was an obese person trying to eat a healthy diet. And the more, the time goes on in the movie, he continues to practice and work on his skills. And I feel like that's what I've done, like with different diets, even over the years, like I keep trying on different sets of armor, and they don't quite fit right, but I keep trying and I keep believing that I can get to a point where I'm a healthier person. And for me, that the armor that just fit the best is the plant-based diet, embracing this volume eating and understanding calorie density. And that's what my proper fitting armor looks like. It looks like a plant-based diet. And once I started this diet, it took a little bit, but I knew very quickly that this is the diet that fit me better than any other diet fit me before. But it still takes time to get used to, because when you learn and you practice and you do these things and you're in ill-fitting armor, when you're doing these diets that aren't the correct diet for you, you develop poor habits, and you're making changes in the way you should do things to fit the armor and not the person. And when you have the new armor on, you don't need to compensate for the ill-fittingness of it, but you're still used to that old habit, those old diet habits, the idea that I can eat in moderation, or that I should eat in moderation, or I should even care about moderation. The idea that the food that I'm eating right now is not the food that I'm going to eat when I get to my goal weight. That's something that was always ingrained in me from all these other diets, because those diets weren't sustainable. It wasn't something they can do. It's things I've had to learn while wearing this new diet that is completely different than before. Cindy here says that for her, following the lifestyle and feeling physically and mentally better leads us to where we are truly meant to be. Yes. And I was talking to somebody today, actually, or the other day, about them trying to lose weight, and they were struggling to lose that last bit of weight. And I tried to push the idea that it's the food. You have to make the changes in the food, and you have to make those changes permanent changes and make them your new lifestyle. And that when you eat the right food, your body will take itself to the right weight for you, and it may not be as fast as you want it to do it, but I truly believe that if I eat this way, even if I didn't do it perfectly, eventually I will be at a healthy weight because I'm eating healthy food. Rick here says, just to let you know, your primary care doctor, Scott Harrington, who owns Vegan Primary Care, will be on Chef AJ tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. That's awesome. He will be on her channel every month on the second Thursday. That's really cool. Yeah, Chef AJ's doing that. She has recurring guests that come on one time every month. So that's cool that your primary care doctor is going to be on there. With the back to the Knight's Tale, or the dieter's tale, because I feel like that's my dieting tale. It's me trying to change my stars and me impersonating a knight or impersonating a healthy person. And that's what you have to do. You have to fake it till you make it. You have to pretend like you know what you're doing a little bit. And just believe in the process and that it'll get you to where you're going to go, because um that's what happens in the movie. There's, a love story in the movie and a rivalry in the movie, but in the end of the movie, he gets his knighthood. He becomes that knight that he's been trying to become his whole life. And if you continue to believe that you can become that healthy person, you at the end will be that healthy person. But you have to believe that you can do it, and you have to continue to strive towards that end. And you have to be willing to change things and tweak things and understand that, you might not know everything. But Carrie here is asking that your insurance covers him. Is he local to where you're at? I don't know if that's something that you do it by remote, or if it's how, you have him as your primary. Um, he takes your Medicare. Okay, so that might be because of your insurance carrier that he takes it. Who knows? So, but yeah, in the movie, like I said, he was able to achieve this because he always believed he could change his stars. And you need to always believe that you can become a healthy person, because that healthy person's inside of us. Our bodies want us to be at a healthy weight. Our bodies want it to be easier for us to walk up and down a flight of steps. Our bodies want it to be easier for us to live day to day. It doesn't want this burden of excess weight, but as a survival mechanism, our body stores fat. And when you eat a high fat diet, you end up becoming a high fat person. He's in the Tampa area, local, and he does telemedicine. And I will eventually reach a healthy weight because I believe I can do it. And um it's, in the movie, a big point in that movie is when he gets that new armor, when he takes that armor and he tweaks it to fitting himself. And I feel like you can do that. This diet allows you to not only tweak that armor, put that armor on, but you can change out the pieces of it. You can make a decision not to eat this type of food or that type of food and still be satisfied. When I think of all these other very restrictive diets that people seem to praise, if there's anything that you have to take out of that diet, it becomes even more restrictive. And with this diet, I eat an abundance of food and I eat an incredible variety. And those are the two items that I would say might have surprised me the most with this, is being able to eat nearly ad libitum, or as long as I'm eating the whole food, the fruit or the vegetable, I can eat really as much as I want. And I forgot what the other thing was that I said that was so great about this diet. But I know eating, um, what did I say? The two things that surprised me about this diet was being able to eat. Oh, the variety. That's the other thing that surprised me. When you sit down and you look at it and you say, okay, I am eliminating all animal products. I'm eliminating salt and I'm eliminating oil. I'm eliminating sugar. It sounds so restrictive, but the things I added are far more. When you say you got rid of animal products, that's like 3 animals: cows, chickens, pigs, were the main part of my diet, and then the dairy. And that's just 4 items. Like I ate those 4 items in 1,000 different varieties, but it's really just 4 items. It would be like saying that you're not eating potato anymore. You're not gonna have potatoes steamed or baked or fried or, turned into chips. It's 1 item, And that's the way it is when you get rid of something like beef. It's just one item. You might be getting rid of steak and hamburger and um, ribs and other parts or other types of beef, but it's just still beef. And so I only got rid of those few things, but the number of things that I added with the different rices, their types of um, starches that we eat, like the quinoas, and that I eat rice now, that I eat cucumber now, that I eat a ton of red pepper. I eat just every vegetable you can get in the store I eat now. And I didn't have that variety. Carrie here says, variety, yes. Your mom tried our balsamic yesterday and was like, I'm not too familiar with that flavor. There are so many flavors we never had when we were eating the standard American diet. Yes. And that curry balsamic, I was like, oh, this tastes a lot like our chickpea tikka masala. It reminds me of that. But I wouldn't have had any point of reference before. It would have been like to her, it was a new flavor, but it's been around. There's millions of people, billions of people have eaten that flavor and they love it. And, a curry kind of flavor. But we get sucked into our own kind of world with things, on our diet. So yeah, the variety has been, a huge surprise, and just being able to adjust things to work for us too. Carrie says also, just to let you guys know, the curry balsamic from California Balsamics is so good. It's perfect on potatoes and broccoli. It's so good, in fact, that the sample bottle that we got like 2 days ago is completely gone. And Carrie's already started her new order on California Balsamic. Cindy, you are amazing. Thank you so much for the super sticker donation. I appreciate it greatly. It's amazing. Thank you so much. That is great for you to support me that way. And I'm gonna have to get some sort of thing where it pops up on the screen when you do it, but I'm just figuring out how to do that stuff. But thank you so much. And we are gonna have to put it into our potato fund, so that we can stockpile on potatoes. Cindy says, here you go, get some more of those California balsamics. And then Cindy says, there you go. You're pretty sure you just bought John a bottle of balsamic. That's great. Thanks so much. Yes. So yeah, we'll be able to replace the bottle of the curry balsamic from California Balsamic. That's great. Thank you so much. And it's been, another part of that story about the Knight's Tale thing is that impersonating that, and we all do that when we first start a diet. We kind of have to impersonate somebody who's on that diet. But what I feel like I was too, I was impersonating somebody who was a plant-based eater, because I don't know. I don't know what I thought going in. I was hopeful, but I didn't know it was going to give me the outcome that I've had. But I was an imposter. I was trying to figure it out. I seemed to know what was going on, but I didn't have the confidence and the education that I have now. And fast forward 802 days later, and I feel like I'm getting closer to actually deserving that title of a healthy person. I'm getting closer and closer to becoming that knight myself, or becoming that person. Rick here says that his favorite is the espresso and the figs. Okay. I know Carrie was interested in that espresso one after you mentioned it the other day. But Carrie's curious as to what you use those flavors on, Rick. We had samples of the curry and the 7 herb Italian, which I really liked, the 7 herb Italian as well. And Carrie says that those are now on her list for buying the big bottles of, since we've gone through the little sampler bottle of them. But yeah, what do you use the espresso? Just salads and potatoes, just those things. That's great. So with your diet, you have to be willing to impersonate for a little bit, and then eventually you become a little more confident, and you can actually feel better wearing the armor, the new diet. And and like I said, that conversation I had the other day, a friend of mine was talking about having some digestive issues, and in the past, I've somewhat bit my tongue, but this kind of time that he was talking about some of those issues, I pushed him a little harder than I did in the past, maybe, and was like, well, are you still eating dairy? And at first they were like, oh no, well, the only dairy that I really eat is yogurt. And then they were like, oh, well, I guess I do have cheese too. And I'm like, well, if you're eating cheese still, then I'm sure it's part of most meals, if not every meal. So you are still eating dairy. And I truly believe that dairy might be one of the worst things that we can consume. And if it's not one of the worst things that we can consume, it is one of the worst things that we can consume at the volume in which we do consume it. There is a healthy level of dairy consumption out there for people, but it's not what people are eating. I used to have, dairy covered every single meal I had. Cheese was on top of every burger, on top of everything, or ranch dressing, or all these different things. Carrie says that maybe she'll grab those two as her next sample bottle so she can try those out. And Rick says the samples don't go too far. Yeah, we found that out today or this week. Gosh, what was I just having a brain fart kind of day? Oh, my friend, talking to him about it and just kind of being more pushy and kind of pushing the idea more, and explaining it more because I understand it more. Because just saying eat healthy food or healthier food or better food might not resonate with people as much. And so, the with that conversation, I kind of dove more into like the gut microbiome and what we don't realize is going on. Like inside your stomach, there are more bugs than there are people in the world. And you are feeding those bugs when you eat food. And those bugs take that food that we eat and they break it down and they digest it and they poop it out. And then we take that and we digest it and we poop it out. But they break down, these bugs in our stomach break down the food that we're eating. And when we eat the standard American diet, we are just giving them just this crazy amount of food and this crazy, not amount, but crazy, difficult food for it to process, because the bugs that process meat aren't the same bugs that processed vegetables, and they're not the same bugs that process fats. And when you're eating a diet that has a bunch of all of those things, and you need the bugs to break down all of those things. But if you eat a diet that doesn't have dairy in it, it doesn't need to have the bugs in your stomach that can break down dairy. If you and so then you don't even have to, then there's not that competition down there in your stomach. And just realizing how much, and Carrie said this a lot, and I didn't, it's the food that we eat is far more important than we've been led to believe. At least, like, because everything's boiled down to kind of a calorie, so a calorie is a calorie is a calorie, and it's not true. The food that you eat makes a difference, but people just think all I need to do is get nourishment and my body will take care of it. And if your body is getting food that you think is nourishing, but it's actually void of nutrients, then what's your body supposed to do? Jess Ann here says that cheese has been the hardest animal product for them to give up. It's crazy how addicting it is. Yes, and that's something that I've seen the videos. I think maybe Game Changers talks about it, but just how there is addictive properties in milk, and it makes sense from a genetic standpoint that a mother's milk would have some form of an addictive chemical in it, because the baby needs the mother's milk to survive. So in a setting, in a natural setting, the baby becoming addicted to his mother is beneficial for the child and for the mother, because the mother's concern is to keep the child alive. And as long as the child's next to her, it's easier to keep it alive. So just the addictiveness of it. And I'm so happy that I did this water fast before I did this, and it made a lot of that easier for me to give up. That reset I was able to do. And I would recommend that you try to do a mono diet, or you try to get these things out of your diet, do something to create a reset in your diet if you're trying to get rid of these things. And for me, it was a very long fast, for you, even if it's just a short fast, or if it's just doing juice or potatoes for a day or two. I think that it can benefit the actual reintroduction of foods when you have that abstinence from those things. But yeah, cheese is bad. Carrie here says, that's why there are so many vegetarians, Jess Ann. It's very addictive. Have you tried going cold turkey instead of cutting back slowly? And that's the abstinence has been something that, that's big, it's like with any addiction, it's a problem and you swear it off. But a lot of times when people swear off their addiction, it's right after they indulged. An alcoholic will take a shot and then they'll wake up the next morning and they'll be remorseful and they'll want to quit, but they're really right. Like they just indulged in what they're trying to abstain from. So it's really easy to say that, but you talk to them 12 hours later, it's much tougher for them to have that same confidence that they're going to be able to continue to abstain. But yeah, going cold turkey or getting it, making the decision one time, I think that helped us a lot with some of that stuff. Cindy here says that for her, when you think of detrimental things a particular food does to your health, it's easy to kick it to the curb. Yeah, and that's what's really helped me with not having the candies that were around at the holidays and things like that, is just that those things cause me to be a 500-pound person, and I don't want to be a 500-pound person. So, Colleen here says that you didn't know how badly lactose intolerant you were until you gave it up. It makes you feel ridiculously awful and you have no cravings now. Yes, I think that a lot of us train our bodies to accept the dairy. It's something where, again, you live with the pain. If you got a little bit of stomach pain every time you drank dairy, but you drank dairy every day from the time you were 5 years old, when you first started drinking it, you might get that stomach pain and get that uncomfortableness, but after a while, that stomach pain, you just associate it with your life or your day-to-day living. So that uncomfortableness in your stomach that you have, you don't realize what is actually causing it because it's always been there. And it's also because it is a pain that your body's been experiencing for a long time, your body doesn't listen to it as much. Whereas when you abstain from the milk and then you go back to it, your body sends that signal maybe the same way it did when you were a little kid. You just don't remember because you continued to have dairy. But yeah, and I'm sure that having an adverse reaction to the dairy helps keep you motivated to stay off it and have no cravings. And that's actually a good thing, I guess. But there's a lot of people that are lactose intolerant that don't know it. And it's really, hopefully, yeah, it's the first thing that I recommend to people now to get rid of is dairy. Like if you could possibly get rid of dairy, then you might have a chance. You could even continue to eat some of the other stuff, but just eliminating dairy, you're going to see an improvement in your health, and you might even see some weight loss just from the removal of dairy alone. And it's wild that it's so accepted, and it's everywhere. You can't we can't, for our kids, like when we travel, we go to restaurants and they'll have vegan burgers, but they have dairy on them. They have cheese on them. And it's just like, they're appealing to a vegetarian audience because the vegetarian audience is larger than the vegan audience. But it's like, you're so close. You're just one thing away. But yeah, that's going to be the video for today, guys. I appreciate all of you guys being on here and supporting and chatting and participating. That has been a big thing. Carrie says here that dairy is in most taco seasoning mixes as well. Yes, they put dairy in so many different things, and it almost seems unnecessary. I see different things every day where it's like, why do you need that? And Colin says, wow, what? Yeah. Yes. So you have to check the labels, and that's something that we'll have to continue to check the labels, especially with companies getting very sneaky with wording. And that's something that they've done for years, and maybe a topic that we can go over tomorrow is how these corporations are making us fat, right? But I am going to get out of here today. Thank you guys so much. If you have not subscribed to the channel, get subscribed to my channel. Colleen here says that your biggest complaint is frosted wheat cereal. It always has gelatin in it. That's gross. Yes. Yeah, just that, and you say gross, and it says ew, not gross. Dairy is so gross. It's so ew, like I think about the idea of having a jug of dairy milk and a jug of soy milk or oat milk or nut milk, and spilling both of them on the floor and letting them sit there. And over time, which one of the two is going to be more of a problem? And it's going to be the dairy. And that's even with a ton of processing that we put into it to keep it from going bad. But yeah, I think of dairy is very ew or gross in my mind now, and gelatin too. But I'm out of here. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, get subscribed to the channel. If you haven't clicked the bell icon, click the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you haven't liked this video, commented down below, please do both of those things. And last but not least, if you have not started your diet yet, get started right now. There's no reason to wait. Even if you're saying, I'm not going to start the food portion of my diet till Monday, which is, you should just start now. What are you doing to make that a reality? If Monday's your day, if tomorrow's your day, what are you doing today to make it easier to succeed on Monday, to succeed tomorrow? Like, that is the true start date, is when you start making the decisions, when you start putting into place the mechanism for which is going to facilitate your weight loss. So get started now, guys. You all have, Carrie says the holidays are over. The time is now. Get started. We will talk to you guys tomorrow.